Hey guys, a couple notes before we continue with the rankings. Yes, I do give my opinion a bit here, but the position of the songs here are completely ranked by you guys, so if you're upset about the rankings, yell at each other. As far as Muse songs go, I only genuinely dislike a handful, certainly not enough to make a full list of 10. They're certainly also my favorite band as well. And if you haven't seen the first part, which is the 10 worst rated Muse songs by you guys, I'll link it all over the place, so you'll see it. So let's get right into number 129, moving our way up to 116 in this episode, and eventually number 1. While there are definitely some similarities with Philip in the two songs from Showbiz that hit the bottom of the list in the previous list with Sober and Overdue, I feel like Philip is at least a tier above. The entire bridge section isn't my favorite thing I've ever heard, but it's very ambitious, strange, and unique. I also love the slow increase in tempo and intensity back into the last chorus. The chorus and verse are extremely singable, and I could see this being a great time live. Not my favorite, and I understand why it's here, but I see a ton of interesting things going on. This is another cover, and as you might have noticed, the bottom of the list is kind of full of them. Unfortunately, I have to say that this is, by quite far, my least favorite Muse song. I hate how washed out everything sounds and how repetitive it becomes. I will say the one thing I do enjoy is the bass tone is really beefy, but everything else feels like the antithesis of what makes Muse unique and a band that I love. Honestly, I thought this song was a shoo-in for number 1. It's in my personal top 3, and I'm kind of disgusted to see that my community would put such a masterpiece so low in the rankings. Maybe I need to give you guys a quick lesson on why this song is so good. The staccato presentation of the vocals is reminiscent of a funk-inspired rock track that pulls one of the catchiest bass lines in existence. Not to mention how the cowbell is keeping that consistency which pulls you back to the rhythm. I honestly can't... Okay, fine, yeah, the song sucks objectively. However, I personally admit that I gave it a 6. Wait, don't kill me, please. Listen, guys. It's not a good song, but I'm glad it exists. Especially connected to such a pop-friendly, glossy tune like Starlight. It shows that the band still has this chaotic, youthful energy, and they wanted to put that out there even when they were approaching popularity. I am happier knowing that this is a thing. This is a thing, and I can listen to it, and it's real, and they did it. Guys, it happened. And cowbell. Changing gears just a tad, we're off to a classically inspired guitar piece. I'm not an expert on this song considering I only discovered its existence when I was going through their discography for this video. However, I love the oscillated panning of the guitar, the chords, the dynamics of the playing, and the Spanish influence. This song might have Matt's best work technically on guitar. It's not a completed song necessarily, and my only minor complaint is that I wish that during the second crescendo of the song that it built to a bridge of sorts. If Matt had done that, this would be a shoo-in for a 10. But without that, it feels a tiny bit lacking. Now, you guys put it in the bottom tier of all Muse songs, so I'm gonna have to hard disagree with that. This might be one of those where we disagree the most, but I do see how the extreme minimalism of this one could pull some people away. I also think that a lot of people probably aren't too familiar with this one though, and I'd highly recommend it if you haven't heard it yet. I feel like this song is the perfect example of hullabaloo. It's definitely a departure from any sense of normalcy, even in comparison to something like Origin of Symmetry. Origin is dark and chaotic, of course, but it still follows a Muse type of formula and production. Forced In is strange in a different way, from the strangely filtered vocals to the otherworldly guitar or general chords. I'd say it's just more experimental. With all of that said, not every experiment on the album works for me as well as I'd hope, and this is kind of an example of that. I could see why people would be drawn to this one, but I personally understand why the community has kind of decided that this is an appropriate spot for it. This was definitely surprising to me. The intro has those flawless backing vocals coming from Chris, and the pre-chorus is haunting with that progression, guitar, lyrics, and melody. And the explosion is so satisfying. This is an example of the stuff in the second half of Showbiz that makes it worth returning to. And considering a lot of my community is full of what I would consider more hardcore fans, I'm surprised to see that this is here. It's definitely not as iconic as some of the absolute top levels of Showbiz, and maybe it slipped in some people's memory because of that. This is kind of like the first version of Hidden Track, except it does have a riff that is quite iconic and that has been reused in live venues. Because of that, I definitely would give it a little edge over Hidden Track, but it's basically the same stupid chaos, and I love it for that. Matt singing channels the power of a drunk cartoon character and distressed goat. Good work, Matt. More of this, please. They've actually gone on record saying that this is their worst song, but we clearly disagree, Matt, so get it right. This song is in competition with New Kind of Kick for being the biggest disappointment in their entire discography for me. This one and New Kind of Kick were the two first new Muse songs that I was around for, and this song came across to me as Madness 2. I've grown to have a much higher appreciation for it over time, and I probably would place it a bit higher than this now, but if you asked me the week of release, I probably would have had it even lower. Interestingly enough, I think the production of the wubs here are actually much better than Madness. It's a lot thicker and has more character and texture. And it has a lot of interesting stuff going on, but there might be some other version of this or something, maybe, I don't know, maybe. I think if this song was on its own, it might have been more liked. This is the version that we were originally promised when Matt said that they were going to provide a stripped back acoustic experience on this new album. I love how much of a departure this is from Form with their typical stuff, dark and heavy. This is more light and personal. I absolutely love when the claps and rhythm become more pronounced, and I adore the harmonies. This is such a stripped back and vulnerable Muse that I never thought I would experience, and I absolutely love it. When the album first came out, I think I liked the two versions equally, but I now definitely prefer this one. I don't think it's perfect. I think the solo perhaps could have been on an acoustic. Maybe it could have stuck with the acoustic identity of the song throughout, but it certainly gives the song more character. Either way, I can't sing the praises of this one enough. What a bass line though. It's so infectious, danceable, and memorable, and I love the tone. It's quite different from what we see from Chris usually because it's so stripped back. And that wow 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 guitar part is super cool, but I do find myself rarely returning to this one, which is probably why it's in the position it is for you guys. I think of the gallery as if you took the ideas around a lot of Origin of Symmetry, specifically the chorus of Space Dimension, tried to make a song out of it. It's quite progressive with no vocals, and a haunting chord progression and audio palette. I wish it did a bit more, but I do love every single thing that it does end up doing. I like how the melody is played on this haunting, droning synth or guitar. I think it's a synth, but it's hard to tell. It just sounds lonely. The classical influence is strong, and I honestly wish Muse did more full-length instrumentals like this. It could be a great opportunity for them to utilize instrumentals during live shows to give Matt's voice a break, but keeping hardcore Muse fans excited. I definitely give it more credit than you guys do, but that's alright. I mean, we can agree to disagree on this one. Only this one, though. So Guiding Light, stop! Wait a second. Guiding Light is kind of a meme in the community for being cheesy and bad, but it's really not bad. It's a bit generic, but it has a killer solo, a decent melody and chords, great bass. My main complaint is that it just sounds a little bit washed out. That, and it does kind of meander through its 4-minute and 13-second runtime quite slowly. We're getting to the good ones now. This song has Matt reaching down to the depths of his younger range. You know, as he's gotten older, his voice has dropped significantly in pitch and texture as well. But on Showbiz, this is the lowest by far he gets, and it definitely makes it stick out among those Showbiz songs, for the better. I kind of wish that it was in the middle of Showbiz or something to change it up during the runtime, like the album, because it's so unique among the track listing. But it's stuck in the end of a special edition as a bonus track. The pre-chorus is fantastic too. The whole song is fantastic, honestly. I'd love to see this one remade, however, as I feel the chorus could hit harder with some stronger production. But God, it's so smooth and nice to listen to. I believe this is a cover of the Smiths' original version, and I'm kind of neutral on both of them. I don't love or hate it. They kind of both have unique and different energies. I have a lot less to say on most of the covers Muse has done, just because I'm more compelled by their original music, though there are certainly a few that stand out in my mind. This probably isn't one of them. Okay, done with that one. I think that means there are 8 more videos left, so be sure to stick around for those. Subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay in the loop, and I'll catch you guys later. See ya.